beloved Ascension Pioneers, and welcome to my summer or winter, depends where you are in the globe, solstice, solar frequency codes, updates, whatever is coming through at this time. It's a very pivotal time. So I was rushing through this forest, and as I was locating my usual spot, I was eating these beautiful wild strawberries, and yesterday I found some wild cherries. And as you know, June is my favorite month of all, because in June, if you notice in nature, the energy of, as you know, we have usually Sun in Gemini most of the time, and Gemini is all about this beautiful sharing, you know, not just our experience, but sharing it. So when you go into nature in June, everything is blossoming, everything is full of the pink ray, which is the divine love of all creation expressed in form. So you have the most flowers that blossom in June, you have the most wild fruits, you have berries, you have cherries, you have blueberries are going to begin at the end of the month, and there's just so much for us to experience, for us to really appreciate. So each year as we go deeper into our ascension, we become more attuned to that primal empress energy, you know, the mother goddess, the divine mother. And I made a reading this week. It was all about this. As you know, I do these weekly readings each Monday as I am guided, and we just go deeper and deeper into that energy. And I want to talk more about, because this weekend, you know, we have the solstice, June solstice, and I think it's the 21st, it's Saturday. And I wanna tell a few things that really have to deal with what we are anchoring now. Remember, when I talk about these things, it's always kind of like a general timeline. I talk about the group of Ascension Pioneers, those of us who are traveling this Ascension path together, and it doesn't matter, you know, where we kind of find ourselves at, you know, whether we are a guide or, you know, the one who's awakening for the first time. We're each on our own timeline. You know, one of my dear friends said to me recently, you know, wow, you're such a great one. I'm just a, you know, a humble, small one. So, you know, thank you. And I said, well, there is no small ones. And the next day I read this article and somebody shared the same thing. You know, everybody now is playing a pivotal role. So there are no small players, big players. Everybody has their own role. But I need to stress something really important here that I'm still noticing within many individuals. In the New Age communities, there's still a lot of talking about, you know, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this being. You know, everybody wants to be this glamorous being. Like, everybody wants to be Thoth, Saint Germain, Jeshua, you know, these incarnations. People really don't realize that we need to be only our own soul. And a lot of these things we like to project are not always real. You know, we can have the experience of thinking that, and it's going to be an experience in form, but that won't always make it truth. So I really noticed that a lot of people like to say many glamorous things, but when I look at their energy, their energy, you know, the being emanates a certain energy through your body. And when you are a, you know, you're just connected to all life, you're source-infused individual, you see things, you know things, and you will just feel, you know, you will feel another by their energy, what they emanate. I talked about this as the main frequency of emanation, of conscious emanations, and this is becoming very apparent for those of us who are being discerning in our source energy. We can read everything, and it becomes really important for us here to know that we don't have to be anything else but our soul. You know, you can be a very pure soul, a very beautiful, loving being, and yet you can still have a bit of that egoic tendency, because there's a lack of understanding that, you know, you don't need to be something if you're not, because each part of the whole in creation serves a unique purpose. And if you want to associate with a certain purpose without even knowing what it stands for, I see a lot of people who say, I'm this. And they sign their names at certain frequencies, but I see it in their fields that they don't even know what that variation of creation stands for, because if they did, they would be traveling that path. So this is a very different from the truth of what we really came here to do. Remember, there's no small players, grand players, you know, this beautiful game of, you know, chess of life. Each figure has a very important purpose. So this year, the solstice energy, I feel the energies are bringing a lot of that culmination of that discernment. You know, remember the December solstice, you know, when we kind of stand between the solstices, you know, so that means either the winter solstice or the summer solstice, depends on where you are in the globe, but either December or June solstice, you kind of stand in that middle alignment, you kind of face the polarity. So what's happening, I was talking a lot about this week, because at the beginning of the week, Spirit showed me the yin and yang integration of polarized opposites in its fullness. because a lot of us are really embracing that, the Trinity of our wholeness, the Divine Father, Mother, and Child, the Holy Trinity of creation, and we really express that way because we can know about it, but we need to really, really have that as an intrinsic experience that we really feel on all levels of being. So it's really important for us to focus on our ascension in the way that what is our individual soul essence. And a lot of souls, because they are so bombarded with what they believe to be, they cannot see the truth. Remember, this is kind of like a tiny little sabotage in the ascension path. First, you have to drop all labels away for you to really get, what you really are in truth. It's not who you are, it's what you are. It's the part of your unique variation of creation and all that is. I told you this in one of my sharings that a few years ago when I began this journey, there was a group of Elohim that that started to really connect with me. And at that time, I really didn't want to have anything to do with it because so many people were judging this experience and the labels and all of that, and I didn't want to be a part of it. So I just said, I won't really even think about it. I would just do my service. And in that humbleness, a few years afterwards, that reconnection began to take place because then I was ready to embrace that. Because in true ascension, first you need to drop away all labels, all that you think you are, all that you consider yourself to be, all that you receive from the external. Even if it's a voice in your head, remember, even voices can be manipulating, cannot come always from your true self. The true self comes through divine knowing, which takes time to really be integrated in this body because this body still has a lot of patterns, so it doesn't always read energies directly through source. There's a lot of individuals who can yet read that, but there's also beings who don't have those beliefs stuck on their energy field. So these volunteer souls come in a way to repair these misconceptions and these missing links, to even those falsehoods and, who are the real gods, who are the fallen gods, who are all of these dramas. Souls who don't have any of these imprints that are really not of the highest truth. They come now with that uniqueness of frequency, which is pure. It doesn't have anything glued onto it. So this is how we all can become that, because we are in truth. But remember, in this body physical existence, you gotta do the work. So recently I was guided to talk a bit about the white ray. White ray, why is it so important? All the rays are one, remember. But the white ray, recently I discovered this script, and I just saw maybe 2 pages of it, and that's all I needed to see. I wanted to print out the version, my friend wanted to do it for me, but it wasn't even meant to be because it was so protected, and I said, it's not meant to be. It doesn't serve me, obviously, because if it did, I would get it. So I saw only these 2 pages, and it was about the 4th ray, which is the white ray of unity, consciousness of purity, and ascension, the white flame of ascension. And this is the flame of my purpose, but the nature of my being is illumination. So it was really important because it shared how for all of us, white ray is so pivotal because it stands in the middle. It connects all the other rays together. There was this beautiful Star of David written, and we have the 6 points, and in the middle there was the 4th ray, which is the white ray of unity consciousness standing in the middle. So when we understand this, we understand how, in order to move on to all the other octaves of being, you cannot move past it until you really integrate the white ray. This is what I talk about, getting rid of all the labels, all that you think, all that you consider yourself to be, all these aspects. And then in true spirit initiations, real things, which are facts of the divine, divine truth through divine will, not what you think, not what your persona has started identifying with. Let's say you have a certain part of your journey that really something really pulls you, and it's a part of the experience, but it's not yet the core of who you are. It's just a part that will push you even further. So a lot of times we like to glue ourselves to these tiny little particles, which are not the whole truth yet. And this is how I was always different. I didn't want to take things as truth, as fact of the divine, because I didn't want to live in a lie. For me, illusions are just what they are, illusions. So I really always walk that path with integrity. And I encourage everybody on this path that I share with all of you as a guide to do the same. If you really are guided into the path of ascension, it's a choice. So with that choice comes conscious action. And there's things we need to consider. There's things we need to be devoted to. There is no other way. You can't pull through something with a loose limb. You just can't do it. You're going to keep limping. And you're just going to drag that with you until it becomes such a burden that one day you just can't take it any longer. So in the purity of ascension, when you embrace the white ray of unity consciousness, everything else will fall away. It will just be you and spirit. Remember, that's also connected with the white light of creation, with the Holy Spirit, with the Shekinah light. So when people ask me, what do you mean, spirit, when you say spirit shared with me, or, I was guided by spirit, a lot of times people do ask me that. And it's because they want to understand that with the mind. But when I say spirit, I need to clarify this. I don't mean the spirit planes, like when you go after that. And remember, each one will go in different planes. Depends on where they are in soul awareness and what their soul is working on currently in their own creation expansion. But what I talk about is that pure light of spirit, the Holy Spirit, the Shekinah. That's what I mean when I say spirit. Please understand that if you have been asking that yourselves in your mind too. So solstice is really going to confront us with all of this, and if we're ready, to receive that. Also, when you look half year back where you were before maybe, and let's look at the December solstice, and our lives have changed so profoundly. I mean, I was looking back at my art and how I expressed myself, and this began for me strongly in November, so that was just prior to December solstice. And I can't believe that during all this time, so many creations and different variations of it came into being. And sometimes I'm still mesmerized and astonished by all of this. And I go, what? My room is getting smaller and smaller and more crowded, but at the same time, it feels more expanded because there's so much things that we just do in light. So recently, I was guided to do this new project. You probably heard me mention it if you've seen my previous Ascension update, where I talked about this, that this came out as an idea. People were really excited about it. So this week I finally published a podcast. This is an Elven singing, divine remembrance, kind of like a monthly energy update. And I put that on SoundCloud application. This is what Spirit showed me for now is best. But I saw that it has a limited amount of data you can put on it, measured in minutes. So you can upgrade it to the professional version, but it costs. So I was thinking to if you really like that, it's a new thing. It was the first podcast for now. Just putting it out this week. I already received so beautiful comments, people who are really able to bypass the mind, because this podcast kind of moves you away from the traditional thinking and with the linear mind approach, and it moves you to the higher planes of existence. So I was really grateful that a lot of divine companions can already move into that space of the heart and feel the vibrations that are coming through, and then anchoring them from their own unique self from within. So this is kind of like just a cosmic trigger. It's not meant to be done for you. So it's just like something is put out there, you tune into it, but then you receive through your own inner when you're plugging into it. That is how it's meant to serve. And this is kind of like an upgraded version of what I already do in written word or spoken word, because like I said, it moves in frequency. So I was thinking that if you really resonate with that, it will be a while probably, but I will need new equipment because my equipment is really bad. And when I have high-pitched tones, the microphone just doesn't detect them very well, so it kind of comes out like I'm missing tones, or just like it doesn't really come out good. And I want the sound to be as pure and crystalline as it can, when I'm doing it live. So I really would appreciate also if you're guided, if you're benefiting from that, to go to my page, to look at the donation page. So eventually I can upgrade the version to a professional one so that I can have an unlimited space where I can do this for free. I know I never do that, I never ask, but sometimes you just gotta ask for assistance, because sometimes it's just you put all that out, you share for free. So sometimes, support is really appropriate and appreciated. So thank you guys. Thank you also for your comments about it. It's really joyful when I'm doing it because it's on a higher level. So how it kind of goes is I was guided the first time to record an introduction, which again is just spoken word, and then it starts out as a toning with a certain light language word that you receive, and then it moves on to Elven singing. So it goes from more dance to less and less dance, if you know what I mean. So it's kind of like a spiral when you go deeper and deeper and deeper. Somebody told me today via email that they're going to call it Candle Moments with Polona Ray. I was thinking, well, that's great, because it's really important for us to know how to create our sacred space. Even if it's not in nature, but of course, most preferably it is. Even when I do personal light activations for individuals, I always ask them to really find that sacred space, kind of something that really guides you where you are to be now, which is a really sacred space where you can be more open to receiving. That's really important, because you can have the best tool at hand, but if you don't use it in a way that would really, make you get a hold of everything from it, so you really can grab the most out of it, then it really doesn't serve as expanded purpose as it can when you really are in that space. So that's also becoming really important. Music is becoming so important in our life right now because, like I said, it's on a higher level. I want to share a story with you here, which is something more personal, and it has to deal with music in general, but it shows how we changed. I used to have a lot of indie bands that I liked, in the past. So this week, one day I just woke up and I just heard this song. I was like, wow, I want to hear these bands again. And it was so funny because that experience led me to find if there's some new CDs available out there from these bands, because I didn't really tune into that for such a long time. So what I did is, I plugged in my external disc, which is, I don't do that very often, and I found these songs, and then I was just remembering, the nostalgia of the old days. And I was just comparing the experience that I had with listening to that music those years ago and, for example, now. So then I found this band that I really, really always liked, and they're called 13 Senses, and I listened to their new CD, the latest CD, and because I saw somebody wrote there via comments that it's the best one they ever made. And boy, was that true, because this band, it's not a regular band, the way that their music, again, goes straight through the heart. I was just listening to it now during my running. It was just like such a heart-opening experience, when you feel like you're flying. You're not even on the ground anymore. It's just so uplifting. And there are bands also that you think they're mainstream, but they also have in a way, a light purpose to share music that way. And then I want to compare it with, a few years ago, I really liked Coldplay, but then they went so mainstream, and popular, and it wasn't that pure anymore. It was more influenced. So I looked again at the new CD, and it didn't feel such resonance. And then this band, the 13 Senses, I really highly recommend it because it's really beautiful music, even the lyrics. So I noticed that in the new, we're so much more receptive to everything. So let's say one song can have a very, very nice melody, but the lyrics somehow doesn't match. I want to give you an example. One of the new songs from the Coldplay's album is called True Love, and I was all excited. Wow, true love, right? And then I listened to the song. It was, tell me you love me, and if you don't, just lie to me. I was like, that's not true love. What's called true love if the lyrics doesn't match? So I'm talking about awareness here. I'm not criticizing albums because they're still a nice band. I'm just saying that there was a nice awareness coming through, you see, in the new, how we are tuning into things. It's becoming so much more aware. We don't want things to be half-half anymore. We want it to be a full experience because we know we deserve it. We plugged into things through our divine senses, all of them. Like the band, it's called 13 Senses. I talk about the 13 chakra system, the higher octaves of being. This is all very much important when we tune into the expanded rainbow. As you know, I do a lot of rainbow art, which is my influence through the white ray of creation, which again creates the rainbow of all colors and the higher octaves of being. And it's just so important, this aspect. And it bypasses our logical thinking mind, and it moves straight into the heart. And when we are in the heart, we can more easily tune into the divine mind. This is the divine intelligence, not that human mind that, can be distorted and programmed and, with a lot of beliefs and so on and so on. So these are aspects that are becoming really important now, to be aware, to be discerning, to also, when you're awakening to so much bliss, a lot of times people who are experiencing this awakening for the first time, they just want to, shake everybody else and wake them too. And you have to know that ascension is a personal choice. Not everybody's ready, and the new is not a place of rescue or saving. Or, somebody asked me, can I share your activation with everybody? And I said, it's, you want to save everybody. You think something is good for you, then you want to share it with everybody. Maybe it won't, they won't feel it that way. They're not receptive to that level of degree of light yet. They will be in their own time, in their own way. And there's just not just one way how to get there. You remember, everybody will get to their own inner core awakening in their own time, in their own way, in their own manner. So the place of new is just consciously emanating and radiating who you are, just being who you are. There's a lot of people who are becoming so pure in what they do and how they think, how they eat. Still sometimes, they're like, oh, I'm so sad about how the world is, you know, I'm so sad people still do this, still do that. And that sadness doesn't really help the world, because it kind of plugs into what they're doing through a lack of higher understanding, which is that each soul has the experience that they have chosen, you know. It might not fit ascension, but that's okay, you know. You can't force people into ascension. Your own path is being you, you know. If you have chosen this path, then following it, and then radiating that divine love, which is all love of creation, out will benefit the whole the most. Okay, so I need to share one more thing that was really beautiful when I was doing my singing here. It was the first time. I was feeling quite shy, and I had my elven jewelry with me, and all of a sudden something starts tickling me, and I look, there was a beautiful golden butterfly. He just began, you know, sitting on my palm and on my jewelry, and is my singing gonna scare you? It's like, just sitting there, okay. And the whole time I was singing, which was quite a few minutes, he was there. He didn't leave. And I stopped, he was still there. I was taking pictures of the butterfly, and it was just such a beautiful exchange and beautiful confirmation of spirit. And at the same time, it was amazing because we had a cloudy day. As I began to sing, I was sitting in the spot a bit higher. I have this beautiful singing rock, which I call it my singing rock. And the sun was shining all the time, and when I closed, the sky closed too. It was like, okay, you're finished now, it's okay, and everything closed again. It was really beautiful. So in the new, in this reality, we're just noticing these things, and we know how we are connected. Not just you feel God, you are a part of God, the all-existent force of life, of love. And when you walk your journey, everything seems so magnificent, you know. Even people who are not joining you with that blissful experience, you still love them, and you just know that what they're experiencing, you can't force anything upon them. And with that feeling comes more love. This is true love. That's actually true love. And true love has nothing to do with attachment and, as you know, things like that. So I shared more about my monthly energy podcast. I shared more about what we're activating. So you can find that on SoundCloud. My profile on SoundCloud is shared everywhere now. It's on my main link on the webpage, Ascension Pioneers. It's on the very right page. It says podcasts. You also have it on my blog via contact, and on my YouTube page via, you know, as information box for all my links. This is it. I'm wishing you such a beautiful solstice experience. There's so much more I could be talking about, but I can't talk about everything in one video. They're already too long. I will, as you know, just go as more comes. Probably more will come during this solstice. And usually, as you know, I work a lot, and then each solstice, we will have that blessing of beautiful weather again, I think. And usually I'm just guided to go, to retreat, to hike, sometimes even sleep in nature. Last year when I was here for that solstice, if I look 1 year back, I was sleeping here in this spot. I didn't even know that I'm going to move here yet, but I was somehow anchoring the energy here. And I lost this pendant, I remember, and I needed to be there. I needed to hold the energy space for when I was moving here. And I was uncovering a lot of tracks and trails and beautiful places, so that eventually retreats are going to come next. Because, you know, it's a work in progress. You got to know the space, you got to know the trails, you got to have a lot of things in your mind. So it's a process, everything is. And the more mature you are in your soul's evolution, the more you know these things. You don't rush into things. So this energy is all about becoming really mature, growing up spiritually, growing up in our discernment and our awareness. And so this solstice probably I will go again, take a few moments just for me without computers. It's something I highly recommend to all of you as well if you're in this same resonance space. So wishing you such a beautiful solstice energy transmission. You know, solar light codes are so beautiful now. There's so much coming through. Somebody said, well, there's a toll that this takes on your body, but it's not a toll. Remember, it's all serves your greater expansion, because sometimes you contract and your body just is bombarded with so much light, and then you expand again, and it's beautiful. In the end, you always feel so great. So when I'm in these highlighted peaks, I always say, wow, I gotta enjoy, I gotta really feel it now, because there's only now. And I really enjoy, and I take the most of it. Sometimes people write me so much on Facebook, and I always say, I'm sorry, I'm just you know, if I'm not serving and sharing what I do and doing my personal services, I like to just live my life. I love to live life. I love to breathe life with full lungs, you know, not to waste time with all these appliances and, you know, online chats and all of that. I don't do that. And I encourage you to do the same, to really live a life that is full of you. So my beloved ones, those of you who already know me and new ones, so if you're new, you know, you can find us on Facebook, Ascension Pioneers. And remember, it's all one process that is just continuing to unfold. So I will see what comes after this solstice transmission. And until next time, again, as always, so much love, wisdom, and power. Take care. Bye-bye.